again, unless you are involved in a takeover personally, no one will ever know the traumas and the soul destruction that takes place amongst the people who work there, particularly in such an old company. So many of our people who work here are locals, all live within the western suburbs. Many of them have been here all their working lives, so you can imagine what a traumatic experience they found themselves in, to be virtually taken over 2 or 3 times in about 4 or 5 years. Nobody knew who their next owner would be, particularly people who've been in that company all their working lives, and suddenly they can see their whole life's effort just simply wasted and thrown out of work. And it's all right for the academics to say that unemployment is an essential part of our future, but usually the people who make those statements are those who are very secure in their employment. When a person is out of work, it's quite a traumatic experience. And when you consider that we employ every ethnic group, many of them can't speak English, let alone understand the complexities of company structures and shareholdings and share dealings. However, only to receive the greatest lesson in human life that I've ever had. Within 1 week, we had a commitment for the $300,000. So people were prepared to invest their money to save their job. Not only to save their job, but they had confidence that this was a viable company. It's a company which they had a lot of respect for.
Very large grill compartment. It's on rollers, which slides in and out for cleaning purposes, which is very helpful in a home, isn't it? Do that. Very large oven, biggest oven. It has a rotisserie and an oven light. It's a very large oven, so you should be able to cook your Christmas turkey in there very well, shouldn't you?
And this bain-marie over here, how does that operate?
Yes, it's an electrically operated bain-marie. So pre-cooked food, you place it into the bain-marie. You can regulate the temperature at any temperature you like to serve it. And it's thermostatically controlled. It also serves as a plate warmer. It'll hold 8 or 9 inch dinner plates as well.
They all lift out.
They all lift out for cleaning.
Yes.
The idea of taking over, because if we didn't all put in and take over, buy shares and take the factory over, there would have been an awful lot of people without work, and being without work these days, a job is not easy to come by, and there's a lot of people that have found it very, very hard. I doubt if a lot of them would have ever got work, because we have some that have left school and they're in their 50s now, and they've just only ever had the one job here in the factory. They've come from school and gone right through to 40, 42, 43 years. Well, I mean, that's an awful long time in the factory to see it close up and buckle underneath you and then find you're out of the job and with very little possibility of ever getting another one.
We have a board of directors that is structured as prescribed by law. The board of directors of any company has certain responsibilities and obligations, and the directors of this company have those responsibilities. Fundamentally, it is a policy-making body. It also ratifies policies that are established by the Council of Management. Our Articles of Association specifically cover the structure of our Council of Management, and it states that the Chief Executive will appoint 4 people to assist in the running of the company. They are his choice. And in that area, being its original Chief Executive, I have appointed on that Council of Management our Works Manager, our Marketing Manager, and our Company Secretary, and myself as Chairman. The remaining 4 members of that council of management are elected by the employees of the company. Each of the people on the council of management has a responsibility, such as chairman of quality, productivity, personnel and safety. They don't necessarily have to have a specific skill for the role that they occupy. If there is a vacancy, they call for nominations. From those nominations, there is a proper conducted election, and those with the highest number of votes are elected to the council of management. They in turn have members from within the company on their committees. The chairman of these particular committees only hold that office for 12 months. At the conclusion of that 12 months, if they so desire, they can renominate for that position. If not, they can just withdraw, and their nominations are recalled for that particular position again.
The function of the tool room in our company is to produce press tools, taking the blueprint and following it right through with making up all the blocks, punches, dies, until it is hardened, assembled on a die set, and then sent out to the sheet metal shop where it is put into operation with the final component. I'm a tool maker in a company that makes cookers. We're in a very competitive field in cookers. We've got quite a few opponents, and as I say, it's a very competitive field, so we've got to make a good cooker. And eventually, when we did take over, well, we were able to improve our machinery and conditions slowly. Well, the die we've got in this press at the moment is a two-stage blank and form die. This job was very important to us because previously it was all single operations through the shop, 15 to 20 operations it was taking to come up with this component, and we got to work in the tool room and we got this die together, and as you can see, it saves quite a bit of time through the shop. In the tool room we try to enforce our safety measures by everybody must wear safety glasses, safety boots, dust coats. All these things are issued by the company.
Well, I think safety is a very important segment of the company because it can make and break a company because you come down to compensation. And ultimately, if a person injures themselves, and it's very hard sometimes to determine whether the person has been injured by mere fact of not wearing the apparel, because in most cases insurance companies would take it up anyhow, but it's important because it becomes a costly item to the company. Compensation each time that you put a compensation claim in, your premiums go sky high and it costs you more money, so that's why you've got to be safety conscious, whether it be me, whether it be my committee, or whether it be the people on the shop floor. Thank you for your attendance, ladies and gentlemen. You've all have received, I'll open the meeting, and you've all received an agenda. I'd ask that somebody move that the meeting of the last meeting be accepted.
Yeah, I'll
Second it. From a safety point of view, my main function is to make certain that whatever safety attributes are to be performed in the company, whether it be wearing of hats, glasses or clothing or lines or whatever, that's my involvement. All right, with the general business, we have itemised down there about 4 items. I will be going around within the next week doing a noise level testing. There are certain areas, I think, which are conducive to noise more than any other areas, and I think one of the main areas, of course, still is in the enamel shop, and also I think that's outside the tool room.
gentlemen, declare the meeting open. Before getting down to the formal part of our meeting, I can take this opportunity of welcoming you, Tom, to our Council of Management. I think it's very gratifying to us as a company and to you as an individual that the people outside have elected you to represent this company on the Council of Management.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm very proud to be elected as Chairman of the Productivity Committee, and I hope in the future I can contribute to the running of the factory. Thank you very much.
We'll depart from our agenda a little today, gentlemen, and we'll proceed with the area reports from the various chairmen of the committees. Who is the first on the agenda, Mr. Secretary?
Safety.
Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We held our meeting yesterday, 26th of the 10th, and there were quite a few items which were discussed. Most of them, of course, which can be clarified from by within ourselves. But the main points that did come out of the meeting were first aid, high noise level, lines around the factory floor, indicators on forklifts, and also mirrors. The high noise level, which I will be testing this week. The purpose of that is, of course, that there are some areas in the factory apparently do have a little bit dB higher than the normal other parts of the factory. Hopefully we may have to issue out to them earmuffs accordingly to wherever the noise is. Lines around the factory floor, which comes down to house cleaning, of course, is, if we probably walk around there, we'll find that they're in a very poor condition. People are just overstepping the safety lines in the factory, or which are not there, and so we now have to set our sights on doing something with them. The other problem is the indicators on forklifts. Now, apparently, forklifts, when they're coming out of driveways, it would appear that people have just about been bumped into because there's no flashing lights.
I think it's a good thing, the Safety Committee. I think that, they should have started this a long time ago. I think the people benefit from them. Like, if you can see something unsafe and you say, right, look, I'd like that shifted because it's not safe. Well, the boss has shifted for you. Well, I do the sub-assembly on the electrical stoves. I build the splashbacks, build the main tops, and then I wire them, do all the electrical wiring. I'm not a shareholder. It's against my principle to be a shareholder. I'm not against people putting money into a firm. That's their business if they want to do it, but that's just something that I wouldn't do. I like to put pride in my work, whether I'm a shareholder or not. I think, right, if you're going to build it, you better, build it properly or don't do it at all. I get very annoyed if I've got somebody working with me and I show them to do something and it's not done properly. I feel real proud when it's finished. I think, this is terrific. I've done this on my own. I've taught myself to do it, and, you go in the shop and you see it, and I say to my husband, hey, have a look at this. I've done that. I built that and wired it. I feel real proud of the fact I did it.
So now, gentlemen, I will throw the meeting open to any suggestions for me to take back there at the next general meeting.
Yeah, well, as I was saying, the install, I've had a person down there started about 2 months ago. His job was to put the insole in. Within about a week and a half of working with it, he had a rash all over his body. So I've had to do the insoling for him, which is still irritating to me, and I believe it's irritating to a lot of people, the hands of the install. And I hope that there is some other way of insulation. I believe the one we've got down there, it's got the covering over it. Would be a lot better than what we're using at the moment. But they say it's supposed to be $1 dearer a sheet or something. But whether it's $1 dearer for a sheet or not, I believe that the people downstairs should come first.
Sure, yeah.
The only comment is we haven't started.
The committee brings these suggestions to the Management Council meeting once a month, and then it's discussed. The main issue of the meeting was the insole wall in the assembly department, and the lady Anne there. This is what the committees are all about, actually, is to get the ideas from the people to implement into the company, to try and get the company into a more profitable position. But Up until recently, this hasn't been happening with these committees. They've been more or less stagnant. The next thing that was brought up was, Mr. Chairman, was the...
Excuse me, Tom, can I interrupt you there?
Yeah.
That if we're finding that there's a person down there who is allergic to this insole, that person should be immediately taken off that job. Well, obviously he has an allergy for that particular material, so he shouldn't be there.
We'll investigate it for you.
I'm aware of the problem, Peter, and we are looking at alternatives. One alternative that we did look at, Tom, was the phenylformaldehyde foam. Unfortunately, this failed on test. It broke down at around about 250 degrees C, and it gave off noxious gases, so we had to fail that one. We certainly welcome from the workforce suggestions. One of the problems, of course, is that when you get a suggestion from the workforce, very often it isn't viable. I don't think that's a suitable alternative.
No, I think we can forget about that.
I think we can still... My job with this company is works manager. My responsibilities cover design, development, production, and the maintenance of the plant and equipment. Also responsible for the economic viability of this company from a manufacturing point of view. We have, with this company, a drawing office and a development. Those people are employed to come up with ideas, to design products, and by and large they would make decisions as to what those components or those products will look like in their final form. But I would have the final say. If I disagreed, for whatever reason, with what they are designing, then I would have the final say and reject it. One of the big differences that I have noticed is that rather than the worker considering making a component, they now believe that what they are making is part of a completed product which the consumer buys.
Those that were interested in investing their money did buy shares in the company. There are no special privileges in being a shareholder. They simply made an investment, and if the company is profitable, hopefully a dividend will be paid on that investment. But other than that, there are no advantages or disadvantages. There are no privileges. Shareholders generally must feel a little closer to the company than possibly a non-shareholder. Generally speaking, I think that would apply. The whole of the company is owned by the people who work here. No outside interest whatsoever.
Τα ακούει εμάς του γέρου και κάτι λέμε. Όταν εμείς δεν λέμε τίποτα για πολιτικά, το πράγμα δεν ξέρουμε. Εγώ πληρώνω $55 για ασφάλεια δεν έχω. Αν δεν αλλάξει η κατάσταση να πηχεί και ο Χέιτ, είμαστε χαημένοι. Το ξέρει νεολαία. Πολύ καλύτερα από αυτό.
was a case of keeping a job, buying something so that you'd have a job to go to every day so that you could take home a pay packet at the end of the week. I mean, that was more than just being a shareholder to make money. First of all, you've got to crawl before you can walk.
Right, you all know that the company took out an insurance policy which commenced on the 1st of July 1981, which insured every employee in this company against death and death by accident, so that an employee of this company can virtually have a year's salary and plus $10,000 that goes to his family if in the event of death.
Well, I'm simply one out. I'm on my own. Am I not?
Have you got any children?
I've got my children, but they're healthy children. Why can't they work and make themselves rich? I don't believe in pampering children when they're old enough to stand on their own 2 feet. They should, if they knew that was coming, would they be careful with their money for later in life? No, they'd be sweating on their mother to die to have security. It's wrong.
I agree with you up to a certain extent. But if I had kids, I would like them to have a much easier life than what I had.
Oh, I'm not
up
saying...
to a certain extent.
Yes, that's right. But I mean, you don't...
You can respect work and all that. Right? But then again, if you had the money, you can do a lot of things with it.
I think the committees do have a lot to offer. At the moment, many of them lack experience. I'm sure that many people on these committees are not quite clear in their own mind just what it's all about. They are on the committee to contribute something of themselves, not there just simply to come up with ideas about what management should do and what I or somebody else should do. It's easy to come up with ideas about other people, but I'd like our committees to come up with ideas to what they should do to better this company and to better themselves in the company.
The absenteeism for the month, of September, we had a rate of 7.5%. That means that 7.5% of our workforce during that month had time off work. And what it really means, if we analyse the absentee rates over the years, is that from our first year of operation and our second year of operation, where the rates were consistently at 6.4, 6.5, they've dramatically increased now to 7.58%.
Well, it's not only the shareholders, like most of the people are, how can I put it, anxious and to get the product out, but there are a few that I don't think has got the same interest as a lot of us. More or less just that it's a job and that they don't think about the company.
I prefer to work here, despite I can earn more money outside. With my involvement in the company, I think it makes it worthwhile. My investment grew. There was a good decision I made and the other people here made. We've since sort of getting bonuses and every year or every so often we get a dividend, shareholders get a dividend. It's worked out pretty well financially. It was a very, very good investment. You own a company, you got to make sure that the name is good. You got to try to keep that name, you know, up to class. And in the western suburbs, a lot of people, they use modern-made equipment, cookers, hollowware sinks. These sinks that came out now, they're fantastic. I wish, when I was building my place, I wish we had them.
That is all I've got to say on absenteeism. It is increasing, and it has increased over the last 2 years, and it should be of some concern to this management. Job rotation.
I can just tweak it onto that. On the question of absenteeism, Frank, Did you hear the little story about the foreman went up to one of his people who was continually absent and said, "Why do you only come to work 4 days a week?" And the fellow said, "Because I can't live on 3 days' pay." So there are people around who have no desire to work any more than what's absolutely necessary. Should we employ people such as that? What's the union's attitude to those things, Tom? These are people who are supposed to be working 5 days a week,
Oh, well, the people
but they only wish to come to work 3 or 4 days a week.
The people that are supposed to be working 5 days a week, the union's attitude to that is he should be disciplined to come 5 days a week. If he continually refuses to come 5 days a week, well then there's only one alternative, and that's to put him through the gate.
To be dismissed.
Right, John, well, I don't think there's any one answer to this problem. I think it's a combination of things: job rotation, this better training of our people, greater...
You got that wire there. See the difference? That's a long one. You got the other one which looks the same, but it's a fraction shorter on the bottom. I think it goes on to the other corner. So the longest one goes on to the other. Right?
Oh yes, certainly the workers want to get involved. Every day they come to me here and they ask me different questions about the company, and I do my best to answer them. If I haven't got the answer, well, I go and find the answer for them and then tell them. And I think the people here are very, very involved and would like to become more involved.
Well, communication between the employees and the employers, that can be improved a hell of a lot. At this stage there is communication, but not sufficient enough, in my opinion. See, I think there's a different language between businessmen and just employees. I mean, I can talk to you all right, but I can't talk to management straight out. I don't know why. But see, to me, they speak a different language what I don't understand. And if they sort of come down to my level and me go up to their sort of standards, sort of make it halfway, maybe we can have a better communication and stop the gap.
Well, I think just by exhibiting our desires and by example, that everything that happens of importance in the company, we must communicate to our people, see that they understand it thoroughly, and hopefully in turn they can see the sincerity of the company in wishing to communicate better with the people who work here, and hopefully they in turn will wish to communicate back to the company and to management. But then they're all grown-up people too. It's up to themselves. How much do they want to become involved? How much do they want to learn? As you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
I've come over to see you about job rotation survey that management. In the industrial environment, as I see it at the moment, the human resource, the worker, has not been fully utilised. In other words, I think the worker can contribute more if he's involved more in the running of the business, in the decision making, and in the control of his immediate environment. He'll personally get more job satisfaction out of it. And I feel that we have a fairly long way to go on that side of it.
With the downturn in the housing industry throughout Australia, we considered that our manufacturing base is possibly not as sound as we would like it. So we did decide in our wisdom that we would embark upon this program of producing these kitchen bowls here in Australia. There are large quantities of these bowls imported into Australia, and as you all know, at very little cost to our company, we were able to resurrect a lot of old tooling. We've been able to produce a large bowl and a shallow bowl which can be fitted into kitchens. To date, the reaction from our customers and from the various displays that we've had has been well beyond our expectations. That's a basket that you can drain food in or vegetables, and you just prepare in there, and then you can just lift out. So you can serve in that bowl, or in fact you can also leave it in there if you wish to put any dishes to drain. Now, how long this product will be exclusive to us remains to be seen, but at this point of time we are the only manufacturers within Australia.
I believe that the workers should be given more autonomy over the actual jobs they are doing day to day. If if management anticipates any changes to those jobs, any restructuring of the department, etc., the workers should be consulted.
From my own personal opinion, I hope success. As from a management level, I can see success. It's a matter of translating that down to the people on the shop floor that there is success, and given time, and I would say within a short period of time, if given time, we will be a success story.
Australian industry is finding it very difficult to compete with the very large companies. Traditionally, because of circumstances, large companies are pouring millions of dollars into capital. And the more capital they invest in their companies, the less people they require. So obviously the bigger are going to get bigger. But the small company who employs labour rather than machinery, they're going to find it more and more difficult to survive against automation. And that will affect us and will affect a lot of small companies. So a decision has to be made. Do you back the working people of Australia, or do you back equipment and machinery for Australia?